Alright, test, test. Alright, test, test. Alright, I'm almost ready to get started. I was just finishing up the old self-promotion there. You know how it is. How's everyone doing? Thank you everyone who's come and chilled with the, was this the 1812 Overture? Yep, chill with some Tchaikovsky. Hello Country Fried Minis. Alright, let's just check and make sure that went through. There's a extremely unsubtle background product placement in my promotional photo for this stream tonight. Let me lower the screen, I think I'm ready to do that. Yes. We've got our Baja Blast. We're gonna get Baja Blasted tonight. This was just a little surprise that Blue Parappa got when she ran into the store earlier. It's when things come out of a bottle though, they never have like the same crispiness of a can though, you know what I mean? And I think that affects the burps. But that's just a theory, a burp theory. Let's turn the labels to the logos facing the camera. Not sponsored at all. This is just a dumb bit. Very good. Makes up for the lack of Taco Bells in my immediate area. Had to get that Baja Blast from the drugstore. So if you saw that promotional photo and your eyes weren't totally drawn to the Baja Blast in the background the whole time, I have been doing it mostly just, actually entirely just base coating. Not entirely just, I did finish up all the faces because painting human faces is very intense, and I was like, let's just get that part done and over with before we hit the stream. And yeah, these are just my 100 Kingdoms longbows. I think I can move these lights a bit closer, get things just a bit brighter. And there's a tiny bit of kit, there's a few straight up kit bashes, and then there's a tiny bit of like head swaps and stuff, because the new, or when I first got these longbows, the new 100 Kingdoms Men-at-Arms / Crusaders kit wasn't out yet, and that one, the Men-at-Arms heads and those ones actually make really good longbow heads. I think Instagram user who probably has no idea I'm talking about them is like, their name's YR Carrots or something. Instagram. I saw them do this kit bash and I was like, oh, I need to get that new Men-at-Arms kit just for the heads. Thank you, Country Fried Minis. I painted my nails yesterday. It's been a while. And they're still relatively intact, which is frankly a miracle. I'm just gonna look up this Instagram username so that I can give proper credit to the artist. Hang on one sec. It's YR Carrots 1, like numeral 1. They post some good minis on Instagram. Okay, right, I'm gonna explain. I'll just, we got 8 just regular longbow bodies. I'll show off the ones that have the Men-at-Arms hats. Like, that's a Men-at-Arms helmet, but it just looks really at place on these longbow bodies. Some very messy base coats on here. The base coats aren't done, obviously. Gotta save that one for last because it's funny. This is like the Men-at-Arms standard bearer head, I believe. And not sure how well you can tell in the camera, but we have finished the faces on these. Not all of them have exposed eyes. The ones that have like really obscuring helmets, like this leather skull cap. Also, the light's been strangely changing colors. Tonight. Or like the past couple nights, maybe it's going. Like this one has like a, I think it's a hunter cadre head technically. It's a kind of like a leather skull cap. I didn't bother painting the pupils on these ones because like I ain't gonna paint the pupils if they're like extra obscured like that. You gotta draw a line somewhere, you know. My painting falls purely in the jack of all trades, master of none, like middle of the road, at least when it comes to painting. My style for painting armies, it's like we're kind of being a try-hard in some areas, and like it's not really speed painting, but I do like have to try and save time somewhere, you know. Anyways, out of the regular longbows, this one's obviously the best because he's doing this like Michael Jackson, or someone in Discord showed out Luke, said Fred Astaire. It's just like this pose is just maximum aura farming. It's like I fire my arrow and then I tip my hat to the enemy. It's like, does he do the ultimate Chad move and just fire without looking? And now onto the... Okay, there is one just holdover ranger, and yes, I did clip the arrows. Like, these guys had actual arrow shafts on the mini, but like, even though it's 38mm scale, they're thicker shafts, if you know what I mean. But they don't, they're still like really springy and breakable, and I'd like snapped 3 at a certain point, and like, I was in the process of gluing back the 3rd one. Probably one of them was I was gluing it back for the 2nd time, and I was like, you know what? Transporting these is gonna get like way easier if I just clip off the shafts. And it does look a little jank, but for the amount of like transporting minis to and from the local game store, like clipping off the shafts is actually like made a positive impact. And like, look, the thing is, when I finished painting this unit already, aside from this one guy, like, I have pictures of them with their nice long and thick shafts. I'm being way too gutter brained right now. So I got the pictures. It's no big deal. The ease of transport's worth it. So this is a nice janky, adorable kit bash. I find it's a militia body, and the militia are probably like the worst kit in 100 Kingdoms. They look like they're just the bodies kind of look like they're lanky teens in comparison. Like, look at the scale difference. It's kind of hard to tell because one's hunched over. This one is also glued on a tactical rock. Here, this will be a better example if I try and line up their feet. And also, like, the arms on this one look a little awkwardly large. But this is, I guess, a veteran kit bash for the Imperial Rangers. So this is a Household Guard cape, a militia body, Imperial Ranger arms, Imperial Ranger head, some tactical rocks. The tactical rocks, funnily enough, are on there because if the cape was... Or, like, you see the cape sticks below the feet. So I actually need to stand on a rock, but have the rock like let the cape droop a bit further. So that's this janky kit bash, just to fill out the stand for the Rangers a bit, because I want the slightly nicer, I mean much nicer, hunter cadre / longbowman bodies to use in other kit bashes. And this is like the main effort in kit bashing this one, who I believe this one goes in the longbowman unit in my army list to indicate the veteran status, and that's because of the red. Yeah, this bow is kind of like mangled. If you look closely here, it is like chopped up because there's a hand. It's supposed to be a hand in there, but like it's chopped up. We carved it up a bit and are kind of like hiding the mistakes. First of all, with hunks, the globs of super glue, and then also the quiver. And that's because we want this one to be, I think this is like the standard bearer offhand for a dagger and the leader model dagger hand. But I was like, well, that's an easy kit bash there. Like, kit bashing in the most basic sense is then you're like going outside of the norm. In the norm being the instruction manual. It's like, okay, they're a dual wielder. They look like a threatening bounty hunter. And then lastly, this is like not much of a kit bash really. It's essentially, I think it's going to end up in the ranger unit just for the sake of variety of body shapes. Because putting like all pose 4s in one stand is kind of like a little repetitive for my taste. I'd rather have the body spread out. I feel like that's very cold to take. This one, for some reason I was like, let's give one of the longbows that little petite militia bowman quiver. Yeah, but other than that, this is basically just like the longbowman leader model. And yeah, that's me just overly explaining. I had a janky time picking out I haven't looked at these since the wash is dried actually. There's 3 that have the chicken quivers. Like, one quirk of this unit is that you'll notice they have hammers on their quivers because they have the cleave 1 rule, so they have like armor piercing 1. It's like they're just like a really good ranged unit. They have really shite melee attack, but they have cleave 1 because they just carry hammers with them onto the battlefield. But some of them, because of course I wanted to assemble them this way, you can give them the option of just some freshly caught fowl instead of a hammer. So do these ones have a regen 1? Like, I don't know. Oh, looks like there's a nice hair fiber painted into that one. I really just wung it on the colors on these ones. Like, we're painting 12 of these. I don't need to go into extreme detail on the like hunted grouse and quail on the backs of the quivers of this unit of longbows. The only person who's going to be looking at the backs is me. Although on that rationale, maybe like you would just put the most detail into the backs of the minis because you're going to be the one looking at them. That's if you're playing with them. If you're painting display pieces, that is not true at all. So right now we're just wrapping up. Well, we're like maybe 2/3 of the way through the base coating stage, and then we get to the nice washing. Yeah, historical bowmen would carry knives and clubs too. It's just like thinking about like balance of gravity on this quiver that's got relatively light arrows and then a massive hammer. It's just I could no, well, I mean, this piece in particular, I could maybe have glued it to the waist, but that would be a little janky looking, or the connection point would also not be as good. Anyways, I am way overthinking these fantasy models. We got our Frontier Wargaming wet palette. There's no super fresh colors on there. If we're going by the logic of darkest to lightest, I think, yeah, we definitely have some black armor pieces to paint on all of them. Alright, I think the music might just be a little bit too loud. I'm just going to adjust that a little bit. The deft click of the mouse. Also, hello Sparkster 8044. Nice to see you too. I think I responded to the historical bowman. Yeah. Yeah, painting these longbowmen makes me want to finally get around to watching that movie. I think The King with Timothy Chalamet. The most recent Timothy Chalamet film I saw was Marty Supreme. The one that seems like it'll be winning some Oscars, maybe? I don't know. It was pretty intense. Directed by the same guy who made Uncut Gems, whose name I can't remember. It's a very exciting or anxiety-inducing movie, depending on how you look at it. Okay. Now I wonder if the music got a little too quiet. Even though it's probably the song and I should just chill out a bit. Okay, I think I got the ideal settings now. Sorry, it's been a while since I've been streaming, so I just feel this urge to get things completely dialed in as a distraction before I actually get to the painting bit, you know? We're still using the old faithful Fit Synthetics Da Vinci size 0. It's been a workhorse ever since we got back to streaming. What was that, November? Or was it October? Alright, we're just painting some black trim here, and hopefully camera distance is good. Here we go, 23. That sounds about right. Good. Thanks, Country Fair Minis. And we're about 23 minutes into the stream, and we are finally stroking the mini with the brush. I don't know why I had to say it that way, but here we go. Yeah, I thought the music was too quiet earlier, mostly for selfish reasons, because I was like, I think it'd be nice if I heard a bit more of it. You know, I always paint with something on in the background and streaming, even if I'm listening to no music while streaming, which I've done before, it's fine, because I'm kind of like, it kind of almost puts more attention on like speaking to the void to just keep the stream and engaging. I think we paint the shin pads black on these too. And yeah, when I'm not streaming, I still gotta paint, obviously, so that's where those nice, like, multi-hour long documentaries and whatnot come in real handy. Oh, nice. Computer just gave a nice big dong update for... Gotta update my drivers. It sounded like the sound almost clipped there for a second, or like my speaker lagged. So sorry if that blasts anyone's ears. Let's just reset the camera quick. With the amount of like black, which I kind of black armor, which I kind of aim for like a kind of very dark boiled leather look, perhaps. You know, some sturdy leather armor might warrant a little bit of a pre-wash highlight. And then the last thing that happens to it is just the Army Painter Strong Tone wash, which is like a dark brown. And that's like the final thing that seals the deal in terms of like make it read as the kind of like hard-boiled leather. I don't know if that's the proper term or not. I'm bad with like proper accurate terms. Hopefully what I said there all made sense. either way with the highlights on this unit in general, like with the exception of the fancy kit bashes, we don't want to be spending more than like 2 stages at highlights on anything, and most things we want to try and only do 1 stage of highlight if we can help it. Hmm, 20 minutes is about right too, that's good to know. Nice, I like the nice recycling, or the using up the certain filament and just using it as an excuse to print some scatter terrain. That's good. If I had a printer, I would... God, I would end up with so much stuff. It'd be ludicrous. Blue Parappa would be like, Laina, why do you keep printing crates? Like, I have to use up the filament. And then she'd probably be like, yeah, gotta be frugal. It's hard to tell. Okay, there's like, it's a little ambiguous where there's supposed to be a strap on this arm. I look at it some ways, and it looks like I missed painting part of it, and then other ways it's like, okay, but that strap stops, but it doesn't look like there's a connector, so... Okay, we already painted the bow black, so I think that's all the black on this one. Good for now. Definitely liking the idea of some pre-wash highlights. Anyone else working on some stuff tonight? There we go, burp 1. Okay, which one are we gonna paint next? One next to it looks like I did all the trim. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got all the black on this one already. Same with that one, that one, that one. We haven't done this one. Same body type. So, should know exactly what to do. Nice Hatsune. Was it like a high-grade Hatsune Miku, or was it non-Bandai? I picked up a plastic model kit the other day myself, as a matter of fact. Me and Blue Parappa went on a date. We each came home with a plastic model kit. So it was a good day. I should be cracking mine open. After these 12 longbowmen are finished, the longbowmen must be finished, for there's a tournament of Conquest Last Argument to the Kings on the 24th that I am playing in. And by golly, I am going to have a fully painted army. Because coming in last place or middle of the pack or whatever, if you got a fully painted army, you're winning, you know what I mean? Did I forget to paint the shoes? No, we got the shoes on that one. Okay, looking at those shin guards again with a second, or just a few minutes in between, I'm like, okay, with the shin guard, we need to go for more of a dark brown base than just black base. Maybe we'll just kind of do a rough dry brush highlight. That might get more of like a rugged leather texture. That might be nice. Blockies brand. Okay, don't know that one. Hatsune Miku is always nice though. I probably missed. No, I don't remember what quiver the last one had. A chicken quiver, I think. For a second I thought I forgot to paint the hammer handle, but then I'm like, wait, was there one? Or was it chicken? I already painted the chicken. Or I shouldn't say chicken, I should say fowl. Wild game, perhaps. Country Fried says the tournaments at the local game store do a best painted grab at the prize pool. Yeah, I mean, I organize events in my local game store. We mostly are providers of the space, and we let the community leaders, like, you know, determine their own pricing. But we in terms of getting product as pricing, we offer some perks. And I fully agree that there should you always gotta have something a little extra little gift or surprise for the people with fully painted forces. I'd recommend that for basically every event that involves like wargaming miniatures, you know what I'm saying? But you must never penalize people for not being painted. If your event has a must be painted requirement, that's a bit different. You just really gotta make sure that's like telegraphed ahead of time that you have to be painted. And you really gotta understand that adding a painting requirement will really change your attendance prospects, we'll say. If that makes sense. What I'm saying is that like a lot more people have half-painted or like unpainted armies than have fully painted ones. And if you want to maximize the people that are going to attend your event, which for playing non-Games Workshop games you generally want to do because it's such a low pool of people in the first place. So you gotta, what am I saying here? Having a painted requirement is like a bit of a doozy. I guess I'm speaking more from like a mass battle / rank and flanker perspective, where like everyone's got an army, like on a collection of miniatures they got to bring that's like actually fairly large when you think about it. You know, Kill Team or a Blood Bowl. What's a non-Games Workshop example? Infinity, BattleTech. Those, it's like getting fully painted for an event of that is a much more reasonable. You could say with Infinity models that the minis, the sculpts are so like intimidating and hard to paint that they take a bit longer, but even then you're not, like you're only painting a skirmish list or two. And like you can fit it in a much smaller case. You're gonna have more tokens and stuff to deal with probably, but you got more space for them because you're transporting less minis. Fewer minis, you could say. That's burp 2, folks. Oh damn, it looks like I clipped the mic there, that's bad. Sorry for ruining anyone's ears or speakers there. Burp counter, that's what I was doing. I grabbed the bottle so I could get more burp juice before I thought to update the burp counter. How poetic. Neat hobby stuff for the holidays? Well, did I get any neat hobby stuff for all the holidays? With my holiday bonus, I got some Conquest minis and a board game. I don't know why it's turned into an accent there. Maybe it's the classical music. I'm gonna blame it on that. We just gotta paint the bow on this guy. Yeah, I got some Conquest minis and a board game called Space Base. Pretty fun. It's like a card-based engine building game. Everyone builds a fleet of spaceships. You roll dice. Every time a player rolls dice, every other player and the player who rolled gets something. Yeah. I won't try and explain a board game on a mini painting stream. What did you get for the holidays, Sparkster 8044? Yeah, I guess those Conquest minis were the only hobby stuff I got for Christmas. When you work at a games, like a store that sells your niche hobby interest stuff, like you get the old staff discount and you end up asking for other things for gifts because everything you want to get for your, like all the gifty type stuff you want is stuff that's cheaper for you to just, like, or it's more effective for you to just get it yourself through work. You know, since transing my gender, I need more, or there's more wardrobe changing that happens, so it's like, those are much more useful gifts for me to ask for now. But I did get me, if the hobby is being a weeb, then I got Volume 1 Deluxe of Berserk. Funnily enough, I already had Volume 3, it's a long story. Now I got Volume 1, and, so now I got excuses to get Volume 2 and 4. Whether we'll stop at 4 or not, who's to say? My favorite chapters are in 3. That's why that was the one I owned first. So it's not really a long story. That's the whole story. I was like, kind of broke, but I wanted to get 1. And I was like, well, my favorite chapters are in Volume 3 Deluxe. So I'll buy just Volume 3 Deluxe. A Psycho Gundam Mark II. Very nice. You watched half of Zeta Gundam while assembling the base. Double his terrain, damn. Oh, Psycho Gundam Mark II. That's like the really tall. It's kind of like. Yeah, the one from Zeta Gundam. I know the one you're talking about now. Oh, you reread all of Berserk? Nice. I can't remember what the last volume I read was. I was pretty caught up. I was caught up definitely before Miura died, and I think I've read one posthumously released chapter, and that was it. I think for a hot minute I was like, I'm gonna wait a bit, maybe I'll reread the whole thing and then finish it. I'm not in a rush. A foot tall and lots of purple. Yeah, I most recently saw the alternate reality of that one in Gundam Ujikuaksu. If any of you watched that one on Amazon Prime. Okay, we got all the black on this one. I do like a lot of the designs from Gundam Jikuaksu. I like the design of the G Fred more than the design of the G Koeksu. Which their designs are basically the same except for the head. And when I was saying design here, I'm mostly thinking like not much of the color in mind, because I'm always like, I'm too custom paint pilled that every time I look at a model, I just see it in grayscale and think about what colors I apply to it myself. That's not actually true. I'm just being pretentious for the bit. But I guess I just like the design of the G Fred's head better, and that puts it above. The G Quacks is like pretty neat though. Obviously the Runaway Star, it's kind of like a tie. Maybe we'll say, actually, I think just the thick Zaku, like dummy thick Zaku is amazing. We want more of that. But then shout out to the Dom that just like, the design is kind of the same, because why reinvent the wheel? But also let's give it a third leg that's disguised as a backpack at first. Genius. Too bad the show itself didn't quite do it for me. It had some good moments. overall, I enjoyed Witch from Mercury more, and Witch from Mercury could have been so much better. I give a very small version of that, or like I gave like a 2 sentence review or something like that in the video where I painted the Ariel model. I think it was just like Ariel felt like some lost potential. Not Ariel, Witch from Mercury. Yeah, exactly. The show was okay and the mech design was great. I never, at my local shops, I never seen the police Zaku. Everyone sees those thunder thighs and buys them up right away. Oh, that was the best episode, where the flashback, or whatever you would call it, episode. The best one's obviously the one with the most Char fan service, am I right? Yeah, the shin pads on this one. I should check the other one. I already painted one of this pose already. I should just match what's on that one. Let's take a look. Yeah, these ones aren't studded like the other ones, so we'll just keep them the Vallejo model color burnt umber, the steadfast. Of course you snatched that police Zaku as soon as you saw it. You heard what I said about those thighs. Yeah, I guess the next main like Gundam series hasn't really been. Hopefully Sunrise is cooking on something. Although I guess, would it be the Hathaway movie? Is it just all hands on deck for that one now, or the second Hathaway movie? I like the first one, so I'll watch that, even though I'm like the Penelope and frick, what's the? I can't remember, the She Gundam? I can't remember what it was called. The like really big chicken and Dorito stuff. They got some cool elements to them, but they're not my fave. Didn't even make that one into a clever sentence. Still counts though. Is that burp? That'll be burp 3. Thunderbolt 3 when? I mean, I'm pretty resigned to Thunderbolt, just never now, but who knows? Who knows? I certainly wouldn't say no. I think the black. Oh, I gotta do the handle of the hammer. I think that's it then. Oh, wait, we gotta do the shoes. The new Men-at-Arms kit, not so much, but like, or maybe it's just the Longbowman and Hunter Cadre kit gives such like a nice haphazard vibe, as in like you really get the sense that it's like an army of humans banded together across like multiple duchies or whatnot, and like cob together with like mercenaries from different bands and allegiances. There's a little bit of trim to do here, actually. I'm always a sucker for trim. I know I don't have to do it, but if I see it on the sculpt, I'll just pick out that trim in a different color. In this context, black counts as a color. And one of the reasons why I did the skin off camera is because like I like to get the skin done early, because I find a lot of the skin tones in my collection, and you know, I'm frugal, so I don't like to overhaul my whole collection or whatnot. A lot of the skin tones I have take like a few coats to really look okay. And it's just like easier to apply those coats like evenly and efficiently if I'm not worrying about hitting the stuff around it. And you know, for stuff like painting the eyes and face, especially when it's like basically counts as painting a recessed area, which you generally want to paint first, right? This is nice and janky P3 Thamar Black, rebottled into this. I didn't do this rebottling. These are hand-me-down paints. I do like P3 paints, though. My local supplier, an area just kind of divorced from P3 in general for the most part. For now, anyways. Steamforge Games is doing what they can with the P3 business. Yeah, my 100 Kingdoms army, there's lots of color variation already, so I don't really care about keeping the black that I use between all the different minis in the army consistent. Getting the inside of this collar is a bit of a doozy, not gonna lie. It's gonna be harder painting the cloth bit next to the face, though. It just felt like the light changed temperature. It's also blasting me in the face a bit too much. Just felt like the light flickered again. For the two of you watching right now, if you've seen my ASMR or the videos I've made that feature ASMR clicky clack gunpla building sessions and whatnot, do you miss it in the videos that don't have it? Is that a part of the core enjoyment for you? Because someday in the future there'll be at least one more gunpla painting, proper gunpla painting video on this YouTube channel. And when I say gunpla, I'm not ruling out figurized standard. Wink wink. Or is it amplified? I can't remember. I guess so. I got at least another video in my future, but I haven't decided whether it'll have ASMR or not. Currently leaning towards there'll be just like a little short partial ASMR section as a treat. Almost time to refill the palette with the black that is. It's still moist enough. When I'm done painting the black, I might could maybe use a re-moisten. Thank you for the feedback. You like commentary over the ASMR, or are you saying that you prefer commentary over painting content versus the ASMR? When something hits right and inspires me. Yep, no, not imposing any deadlines on said video myself over here. Not about that these days. I will say the project that'll likely be featured in said video does have a deadline for a local conquest, a local contest that I'll enter it in. The Odafest painting contest, that is. So that ain't till May, so it's a ways away. Procrastinate and then be like, ah, shoot, it's mid-April, I should start this. I got 2 weeks. That would be silly now. I knew I was missing someone's boots. I keep looking back and seeing boots that I missed. There's at least 2 here. Let's put some more paint on the palette, actually. We're running low. Alright, thank you for the answer to the follow-up question, Sparkster. Alright, gotta paint these booties. We're on to the Beethoven now. The like kind of off-white stripe on this jacket the lad's wearing. Normally I wouldn't paint that before doing the black here, but I did apply it to this mini to see. I think it's because I had some to use on the palette, and I also kind of wanted to see if it would work in this location, which I still haven't fully decided on, but I'll probably leave it. We're definitely gonna have to, whichever color it ends up being, we're gonna have to go over it again just to clean up the edge with the black, which is why I should have done the black first. 'Tis no worry though. And it's like a very unnecessary color blocking step for myself, but it's like, I guess one of the try-hard elements on this painting project, or like higher effort in the context of, we missed painting some green there. That was a, should have used that. I might be able to reactivate enough on the palette. Might as well just add a little drop. It'll make our lives way easier. Just a tiny bit. Yeah, this one's leather arm strap does have a somewhat clear start and end point as opposed to the one on the other model that I was definitely ranting about earlier. Yeah, one reason I kind of tend to do, I prime it in, or it's like the right after priming, I airbrush it in the, what color is that again? Burnt umber, and then I won't brush paint it again until later, because there's lots of areas where it's like, there's lots of recessed areas around it that you should paint first. Like old generation game color goblin green, like, because I don't have the saturation turned up on my camera. Like, it does have a one preset on, but it's like a pretty light. The goblin green, like, it does kind of need two coats on a lot of things. Like the Army Painter Fanatic equivalent goblin green would probably be a lot better, but I've gotten lots of good value out of my old generation game color goblin green. If I am a bit of a coward though, because if I was a real gamer, I'd paint oh, this would be so painful. I'd paint all the base rims goblin green, but also like the rims of the stands that the Conquest minis go into. I would like concede defeat if I got paired up against an armor like that, just out of the sheer joy of getting to witness it. I wouldn't actually do that, but I'd take a lot of pictures of that game. Against the goblin green rimmed Conquest army, like, please. Definitely winning the best opponent vote. Because you were talking about best painted prizes earlier. When I personally do my tournaments, I have a I call it best presentation award, because sometimes not everyone is painted. I don't know. Or, I mean, like, sometimes you have a tournament where there's, like, no one is fully painted, but, like, there's still lots of effort that have gone into people's armies, so best presentation, I guess, is, like, I like how that wording is just a bit more ambiguous in that sense. Yeah, goblin green base rims. I don't think I have any in my collection right now. I should really, like, I should have a dedicated project where we do a goblin green base rim. Oh, it almost makes me also want to get, like, the old school flock. Because I don't have any currently. I mostly just have static grasses. Okay, it's just the feet on this one. Alright. Sorry if that one was super out of focus a lot. I don't think I was paying attention to that. Alright, just a few. We got the ones that are on the old school GW painting handles. These ones, there's at least a bit of black to do. Unnecessary sentence just to up the burp counter. We are out of Baja Blast now. Yeah, we only got 4 burps out of that whole bottle so far. So far, nothing beats just a raw can of Coke Zero. Kroot and Goblin Green would go well together, I'd say. I think I painted this bit of the handle red, and I think I'm going to do that again. There's probably a few more areas on the non-ranger ones I could pick out red details like that too, where I'd originally done green. If it's a tiny red detail, it's fine for a grunt model. It's like for the leader and veteran ones or whatever. That's where I want to save the red colors so they just like stand out a bit more. Your tower, pink and turquoise, nice. A counterpoint to the crew, yeah, that's hard to say. Yeah, too much Battletech to paint in the meantime. Well, that's part of the job, right? For you anyways. And yeah, I do agree that is a great idea, Sparkster. You got plenty of real life references that would apply very well to a Kroot, I'd say. I mean, it is pretty normal to have your first Warhammer army be painted in, like, the quote-unquote studio color scheme. Although, I mean, when I see the Tau boxes at work, it seems like there's still a lot in that old-school beige tan color, which I still like, but then there's, like, a decent amount they put in that one kind of weathered white with red accents color scheme. You know, I'm sure these have, like, actual planets or whatever they're named off after. Oh, hello, Otaku Builder. Thank you for the $50 super chat, much appreciated. Happy New Year to you as well. Hope you're having a good 2026. That R2D2 of yours I've been seeing over on Instagram is looking very impressive. And yeah, thanks again for coming to the stream. Yeah, I've been painting a lot of miniatures lately. I was saying earlier we're gonna do... There will be a plastic model kit painted after this that is not a miniature. It is the posable variety from Bandai. I'll tell you one spoiler though. It's not a Gundam. As soon as I realized that I had to get it, because I saw it on the shelf at the store for a while, I've been humming and hawing. And then I realized it was like the perfect vehicle / challenge for my filigree, because, you know, I thought about, you know, for the contest this year going back to some gradient work, because it's been a while since I've done that, but I still have a bit of that dog in me, that dog being filigree. I just have a desire inside me to paint more squiggly lines. Part of me feels like it's a bit of a tragedy though, because the model I have selected to paint has such a nice, just out of the box plastic finish on so many of its parts. I at least need to honor that part by getting some good B-roll shots of it before before it's got any kind of primer sprayed all over it. I suppose I could consider leaving some parts unpainted. That doesn't quite feel right for a competition piece, but also it really depends on what the part it is, I suppose, whether it would fit in with my very hand-painted style. I messed up a bit painting onto the green pants there, but it's in an area that's so obscure I don't even think I need to adjust it. I mean, correct it, I should say. Let's just do the shoe right away before we forget. As much as I've been talking about that Gunpla project, though, other painting projects we definitely have on the goal list for 2026 is one of my 2 Harefoot jousting teams. That's only 3 minis on 40mm bases. It shouldn't be too hard. I do have a lot of Halo Flashpoint. to paint still. And I don't know how much of it's going to be on the 2026 book goal, but at the absolute very least, with the caveat of that it would be really nice to do more than this, I want to paint one team of brutes and one team of elites. But ideally I want to paint those as well as the last Spartans and the second team of elites that I have. Because that's a fairly well-rounded collection. Uh-oh, we got burp 5. Didn't even fit that one into a sentence. Yes, exactly, Sparkster. Wart. There's one gift-related personal painting project I gotta finish. Another nice to like have finished project was just like this old Warhammer Underworlds like Stormcast warband kind of color experiment that's like a third done, and it's been a third done since like 2020 probably. That was pre-YouTube days. Where was I going with this? There was one other on the painting goals. And I'm not really including Conquest in any of these painting goals, not because there aren't Conquest painting goals, kind of because there's just so much of it that's kind of its own category. Sometimes they just slip out. It would be nice to finally start painting my Nords army, because that one's like, we gotta finish basing all the Nords that's currently built. That's the thing, every Conquest army has a caveat or asterisk where it's like currently built, because there's a bunch of unbuilt. We're kind of just like putting the pause on the building though for a while, because we gotta bang out, well, like after this 100 Kingdoms we'll have 2,000 points, 100 Kingdoms ready to go painted. We've had 2,000 points plus, it's maybe like 2,100 points if I'm stretching it, of Spires painted. There's a Spires update happening in like 9 days supposedly, so there's going to be a points rebalance. I think I'll still have 2,000, so it'll be fine. If I can get a third army with 2,000 points, that's pretty huge, but we don't have any of the Nords painted, so we're starting from the bottom there. Yeah, exactly. Those minis ain't gonna paint themselves. Anyways, the black's done on that one. I'm not getting minis painted because I'm getting distracted talking about how I got so many minis to paint. What's wrong with me? Okay. I think this one, since it's a bit of a kit bash mod, I want to leave the boots in the brown that they currently are. I think we're done the black on this one, actually. Well, actually, we'll paint... yeah, we'll paint these sections black. We've moved on from the classical music onto the electronica section of the shuffled playlist. I think it's shuffled anyways. It kind of didn't feel like it was a minute ago, in terms of like we just heard a lot of classical music. A battle mech when? I don't know. When it comes to releasing a video that's like the kind of video I've done a lot of, I can't even like be nailed down to a time. I guess you're just talking about painting a mech, not necessarily a video. I'm sorry, I don't have a date. I can promise you a mech, but they do look really fun to paint, and it's something I want to do eventually. I'm sorry, there are larger mech models that are just drawing my eye. And also I've realized this year on the attempts to play other rank and flank games, because skirmish games are really popular where I am. Although you could also just say in general, skirmish games are popular. Just because they're so much easier to get tabletop ready and like travel with. But in the last, I guess 3 years, we could say I have realized I am truly just very rank and flank pilled. Where it's like, I want to get my Conquest minis painted. And then with other available hobby time, you know, well, one thing is I want to enter this contest this year. And then it's like, well, I kind of want to get more movement trays made so I can like adapt my old minis that are already painted into these agnostic rank and flanks. But it is nice to play some skirmish games with the local community, you know, when there's some like one-off events I can bring some 40k models to, or fantasy models or whatnot. You know, thankfully a local guy's running one-page rules. I haven't played with them yet because they usually play on days I'm working. And then shout out to Angular Primulon, who ran a Learn to Play Shadow War Armageddon event, and I just, you know, I already had some painted Dark Eldar witches, so we just brought them down, did some combat drugs. I think we re-rolled the +1 strength one, so the whole squad rolled in, just absolutely roided up. Okay, we only got one more to do the black on. Yeah, more affordable. Oh yeah, Battletech mech printed in 144 scale. I suppose that wouldn't be like too large if you, I assumed a model that big, you paint it in chunks, or you print it in sub-assemblies. I mean, there's a lot of cool Battletech mechs out there, but you know, the goblin in me just automatically is like, get an Irby. A 148 scale mech. That must be pretty big. I think I've seen bits of this, I'm not sure. We got some cloggage in the bottle here. We just need a little bit more. Okay, that's probably enough. The Battletech show, I never watched it myself, but I've seen some bits here and there. It looks pretty solidly camp and fun. Oh boy, that's exciting, Country Fried Minis. It's looking like the palette might need a re-moistening once I'm done this black painting stage, which will be on when I'm done this model. Then we'll be at about 90 minutes for the stream. I'm gonna shoot for my usual 2 hours, keeping that part consistent from last year. Yeah, I painted the color red on this before, but I do like kind of color separating this part of the coat, I realize, into like a slightly tougher bit of the armor, you know. And that sounds pretty cool. A Macross urban mech. Yeah, I can't help but feel on this one, I want more ways on the model to show red. But I don't think swapping the pant color or something like that to red is the solution. Not sure what the solution is yet. Okay, we already kind of got the shaft of the weapon, just need to do the feet. Alright. Now I think it's time to just grind through all the burnt umber leather straps. But first we need to re-moisten this palette and change the paint water. So I'm gonna do that real quick. Alright, I'm back. Time to re-moisten this palette. And we're gonna paint for at least 35 more minutes. And that's probably all gonna be Vallejo model color burnt umber. This is gonna be, what is this stream? Attack on Titan? It's all brown and black. And some red. Attack on Titan has like way more red though. How's that for a joke? Kind of overfilled the paint water cup. Now I'm gonna be sloshing water everywhere. The black really does bring the palette together, yeah. Alright. Thankfully, I remembered to store this nearly depleted bottle upside down, so I shouldn't have to violently shake it to get the paint I need out. Yes, very good. A decently large dollop. And we can just keep on using our good old size 0 synthetic. Hello, Vadalaxed. I'm alright. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for coming. Okay. Yeah, now we're getting into the more nitpicking out some details part of things. I'm gonna turn the wet palette a bit actually and thin this a bit in the other direction. Cause yeah, we got the fletching on the arrows, but you know, me being me, I gotta pick out the shaft. So let's just try and be as neat as we can. Can always tidy up more later, and the wash will help us out a decent amount. So far, so good. Now the back part of this is going to be a bit trickier, to the point where we might just skip over parts of it, to be honest. Just mostly need to get these more visible bits over at the ends. Says me as I try to paint the whole shaft anyways. Alright, let's move on to these these comparatively much easier to paint arm straps. And this is where having airbrushed them with the burnt umber already is saving us lots of time. Because getting an even coat on spots like this will often take 2 coats, and doing 2 coats when it's also a kind of like fairly narrow detail you have to pick out can be a real pain. And you can't always apply it thick without spilling over across the lines accidentally. I've just been painting a lot of miniatures recently, but plan is in 2026 to paint at least one Gunpla that is not an actual Gundam. It's a Bandai model kit though, so might as well be calling it Gunpla. Now we got black trim, we got brown trim. Get out of here, gold and silver trim. Your days are over. Not really though. I'll always be a sucker for the classic kind of metallic trim. Yeah, this is the weird arm strap that just lines up in a weird way. So I'm kind of just painting it double. Thankfully, when you paint a lot of fantasy humanoid models, you end up with a lot of different tans and browns. So then a unit with like a lot of details in the sculpt, but not a lot of like metallic armor, like the longbowman slash hunter cadre. Come along, you got plenty of different browns and tans to throw in there for an appropriate amount of on-theme color variation. Yeah, and on initial glance, the chest of this one looks like, wow, there's a lot of different straps and detail to pick out there, but really you can just kind of treat it as one big blob to block in that particular kind of brown on. The finishing touches on like bits down here with all the straps and buckles, getting those like last metallic details on there very carefully will really like go a long way to finish up the model. While I'm here, I kind of want to just like mix a bit of a dark brown and dab it on the black leather there, but I think I need to use the other brown I have. What's it called? This is dark flesh tone. Yeah. So I think that mixes with the black better. The burnt umber with the black looks... It doesn't have it... It looks a bit too desaturated compared to mixing it black with the dark flesh tone. Okay, I think we got all the burnt umber picked out on that one. I don't want to do another one with the chicken quiver, but we're just going to power through it. That's why these batch painting streams should probably stop around 2 hours, because at a certain point it does get a lot more repetitive than just painting a single mini. Although when you're painting larger models of a particular size, those can get pretty repetitive. It's like, well, it takes hours and hours to paint one arm. Now do the other arm. And, you know, same for legs. Yeah, this one you can actually see the other side of the quiver relatively well. Oh, we got a bit onto the fletch in there. Whoopsie. this one has the same arms as the last one, it looks like, so. Same arm strap painting procedure. Careful around the skin, it is already finished. We don't want to be trying to fix those mistakes. Sorry for being less talkative all of a sudden. I'm just completely knee deep in the strap painting zone right now. I hope you can understand. The straps do require some concentration, mostly because a lot of the areas around them I've already painted and I don't want to have to go back and fix them. Yeah, again with this weird double strap, single strap arm. And there are some straps on the boots I gotta grab there, which I missed on this other guy. Excuse me. It's a little bit of a pain to get in here underneath the bow, but I think it's worth it. You just need a base coat. We'll let the wash take care of the rest. This could be painted as buckles too, I suppose. Okay, quick circle back to this guy. I think I need to take off my sweater. It's making me a bit fatigued now that I'm a bit toastier. Yeah, the back of this guy's leg is the kind of area that's an area where I see him. Like, I think the speed painting mentality would be to paint all this the same color. But me and my brain, I'm like, well, they sculpted straps there to hold the plate or the shin guard to the leg, so I gotta paint it a different color. Alright, gotta shed one of these layers for the last 15 minutes of the stream or so. I'm taking off my socks. because things are getting serious in the painting sense. Yeah, the mask on this one was a doozy. Mostly because I think I need to redo parts of it, and it's going to be really... it might just result in like redoing all the skin. But the hand looks kind of bad anyway, so... maybe that's not the end of the world. Did the music stop? It did. Try that again. Forever going back in for retouching. Yep. Relatable. When I played War Machine and a good chunk of my army was metal, you know, there'd be like a quarterly like model maintenance for tournament prep day where I just like, alright, all these metal minis are chipped to shit, let's patch them up. Finally, a quiver that doesn't have chickens on the back. And this one's got a hammer that I could see being a bit more reasonable to carry. It's that one, like, extra large, like, two-handed hammer that some of the longbows have, where I'm like, that's a little... how is it firing a bow while also carrying that? Like... yeah, that one's done for now. Yeah, when you're in the commercial time is money mindset, you really want to cut down those unnecessary steps, like retouching, or perfecting is the unnecessary one, I'd say, not retouching all the time. You don't want to be underpaid now. Yeah, this song in particular is just very quiet. I can bump it up a bit. Yeah, this is the hammer I was talking about. Yeah, it's important to respect your time like that, Country Fried Minis. I kind of want to paint the parts where it attaches to the quiver metal, though. Those look like metal bits. So we're just going to add more color variation, people. Yeah, it gets some of these straps, it's a little confusing for a second there. looks like this strap and this section of the jacket are definitely different parts, but for some reason I want to... Okay, now I think I do need to pick out that strap. It might look a little different than how it looks on some of the Rangers, but that's alright. Theirs kind of get obscured by cloaks anyways. Just a question of which part of the strap exactly. Oh, that's tricky. What a strapping young lad, am I right? I should have painted these bits of the armor on the what are those called? Forearms? Okay, we'll paint some brown straps on the underside, and then we'll paint the armored bit black. Thick. Stay strapped. There might be enough black left on the palette to just reactivate. Bit messy on the straps on that end. But they aren't that visible, so it's fine. Don't even need to clean up. But this other forearm is just directly facing the camera. The inner side of this forearm, I should say, so... Let's try and make these lines relatively clean, why don't we? Alright, not bad. No, alright, I do want to swap the boot color on this one, because the boot color right now is the same as the jacket, which we can't have. We need those colors to be a bit more separated. Alright, boot. You are now a lighter brown. Yeah, and whether I'll come back and pick out the straps within the boot in a different brown, I'm not sure. Because usually this is the brown that I use to pick out those colors. I'm not sure what's going to be best. I think that'll be a decision I come to later though. Now can I reactivate enough black? We're about to find out. Well, we definitely have enough black for this arm. And I think we'll have enough for the other. Just gotta reintroduce a bit of water every time I fill up the brush, basically. It's easier to get away with doing this with a color like black that's very, got very strong pigmentation. Alright. Probably just gonna work on the brown straps on one more lad. And the amount of paint. I'm basically gonna go until the burnt umber that's currently on the palette's used up. That should take us to just over 2 hours about, I believe. And this one doesn't even have much that needs to be done. I guess the backs of the legs a bit. Alright, I never decided what I was gonna... I mean, we could paint these metal, that could be some fun, but it's probably not... That's probably a bit too jank of a choice. I forgot a bit of the black trim on that part of the coat, oh dear. And this classical music's giving me a British accent again. Oh wait, we're back to the chicken quiver. Oh, I forgot to pick out the arrow shafts on the other ones, that's what I was missing. Oh dear. It felt like I was missing something. I'm just doing the arrow shafts for last. Just doing the last go over for any straps. We got a bit of the top of this strap. Okay, and shafts. don't know if this part would be easier to do if I did the fletching last. Because this color of off-white, I can't remember which one it is exactly. It's fairly transparent, so it does require at least like 2 thick coats almost for a very detailed surface like the fletching anyways. With all the recessed detail, it's a bit more paint hungry. Alright, I'm just gonna finish up the arrow shafts on those 2 I missed. Then we're gonna wrap up the stream because I'm feeling fatigued and we'll be solidly past 2 hours at that point. Yeah, that's right. I'll do 3 hours on a stream if it's a special occasion. Or if we're like really in the home stretch. But 2 hours, that's a nice even number to shoot for just your humble Tuesday stream. Oh, look at that, we're squeezing in one last burp. What's that, burp 6? Not bad, not bad. It's no Conk 0 11 burps, let me tell you though. Hit that flow state, more like hit that burp state, am I right? Alright, all those shafts are done for now. Canada Dry Zero Sugar Tonic Water, nice. Yeah, brightness, that's a word for it. Tangy is the first thing that comes to mind for me. Tart. Goes well with gin. Is non-alcoholic gin flavor a thing that you can get if you don't drink? Random thought I had. Alright, thank you everybody for watching the stream tonight. First stream of the new year. Been a solid, what, maybe 2 weeks since the last stream? Yeah. The next stream, I'll either do one tomorrow night depending on how work goes during the day. And if not, then we got, I believe, Friday and Saturday morning open. I feel like I got like probably 2 streams of worth to extract out of these longbows. And yeah, here's to more streams in this bright new year of 2026. I hope you all have a good night. And thanks again for watching. See ya.